You're listening to Cards to the Moon, a podcast about trading cards from both a collector and investor perspective. We hope you'll stick around for the ride as we take a deep dive into the state of the hobby, share some hot takes, hopefully some useful advice, and fun stories along the way. Hey guys, welcome back to Cards to the Moon. This is episode 236, and it is a Friday edition. We got the whole crew back for this one. My name is Clark from 5cardguys.com and 5cardguys on Instagram. With me co-hosting as usual is Hyung of Integrity Sports Cards and John, who is TradeU at Recess, both on IG as well. All right, before we begin though, John, it's been forever since you were last on, and our listeners have noticed. Our friend Will has noticed. He says Cards to the Moon isn't the same without you. So glad to have you back. Anything eventful to report this past summer, or just busy in general?
Just been busy, but got 3 kids now. So anyone out there with multiple kids knows what the life is about. So it's been busy, but great. Awesome.
Yeah, and can't believe you guys. We missed you too. Can't believe it's September. It's pretty much fall here now. So it's crazy how quickly things have gone this past summer. But anyway, I know you've been following, John, what's going on in the hobby, because our hobby chat group has been more active than usual. And one thing we're certainly discussing is the Topps Now U.S. Olympic basketball cards that are being shipped out as we speak, with the chance of hitting that one-of-one triple autograph card of LeBron, KD, and Steph Curry. Now, by the time this episode airs, who knows, it might have been pulled already, but there are other short print and parallel cards randomly inserted as well into your order. And those cards are being put into a special pack that you can rip, which is a new thing for Topps Now. And I don't know if you heard, but one of those packs sold for $2,500. Which is crazy. So, 2 questions. What do you think of all this hype that's been generated because of this chase? And what do you think of that added element of being able to rip a pack to see if you got the one-of-one or any of these short print cards?
I'll let John attack this first because he's our guest today. Joking aside.
Yeah. I think that's a brilliant idea. A big component of the hobby is ripping. Like that's a big component of what's fun about the hobby.
Yep.
Also maybe a bad part of it for the degenerate gamblers, but I think it's a great idea. It opens the door to things like the packs being sold separately, which is also actually probably a good thing, to be honest.
Yeah.
It creates more hype. It creates more activity and all that jazz. So I think overall it's a great idea.
Yeah. How about you, Hyung?
We talked about this before too. It's about manufactured scarcity. So here's the 2 points. Is there's this huge bounty that created this manufactured scarcity. I mean, it is scarce. It is a one-of-one. So we'll give it that. But now there's a manufactured demand for is all these bounties that people are after, right? Creating this enormous amount of hype. So my only thing is, got to be careful because we are the buyers that are buying into this hype, all to chase a lottery ticket, at the end of the day. And we've seen this over and over again that the market will recorrect itself, right? So early people with, these rare cards, it might be a good selling period, right? Because in terms of longevity, is that real value within that? But on the flip side, I will say this. We've always believed in the Topps Now brand because I feel like Fanatics really hasn't been, or I shouldn't say Fanatics. I think Fanatics realizes the opportunity that Topps haven't really capitalized on the Topps Now brand because we love the concept. We hated the cards because but now I think Fanatics sees the opportunity of these amazing sports moments, right? And I think as a collector, as a hobbyist, as a sports fan, that's what you're looking for, aren't you? Like these moments is like, oh, I remember when Jeter, made that, backhand play in the World Series where he was in no man's land and then he shoveled the pass to the catcher and saved a huge run. Stuff like that where fans remember those moments. And I think building a demand around that becomes more sustainable long term. I think there's a lot of value in that. And with these chases, I think there are good around that at the same time. But the other side of the negative side of it is the hype, right? But like I said, that's with any release. Topps Chrome Basketball. Is it right or wrong that there's a huge hype? Well, it's all subjective, and it's what you make out of it at the end of the day. You could be bitter and saying that this is all ruining the hobby, or you could look at it as, hey, you know what? If I get a chance to get that, this would be amazing. And if you did hit it, I'm sure it would be life-changing at the same time. So you can't, I guess, complain always about what Fanatics is doing. I make the best out of it, is what I'm saying. So I don't necessarily mind these huge bounties and huge, artificial demand, because otherwise, why would there be any hype around it, right? If they didn't create it. So, that's the concern. But at the same time, I'm open to that. We've been living it for the last 2-3 years. That's all it's been. It's been a huge hype, then a huge crash, and then a correction, right? So this is no different, but I'm all for it at the end of the day because it's getting more people involved. They're getting more marketing and attention around it. And at the end of the day, marketing will win.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you also clarified, because, when you said we were all about the Topps Now brand, like, not really, but then you said we hated the cards. So the concept was good, but the cards itself, like, I've never bought a Topps Now card, right? Until recently with the U.S. Olympic basketball. And to your point about marketing and just generating that hype, it certainly got me in, right? So otherwise I wouldn't have probably bought one, to tell you the truth. So yeah, and the thing you said about things correcting itself, we've already seen it, right? Like one of our hobby friends in the chat group, he pulled a short print card, and I think it was Will that showed us that the first sales were around $900. And now it's going for about $300 in less than a week. And I'm sure that's going to continue to go down, right? Because the hype's dying down a little bit. And, once the one-of-one card is pulled, then I think that's when you start to see the bottoming out of these Topps Now U.S.
I think you'll see a correlation, and we've seen this with Cactus Jack and the Topps Chrome Fanatics Fest. I think it goes hand in hand with the demand of the individual packs too. So if you have a huge demand of these individual packs and the individual packs start increasing, then the hits within those packs, I think, follow along, and vice versa. If people stop buying these individual packs for ridiculous prices, I think the pricing of the individual cards would obviously go hand in hand with the packs. Same with the Cactus Jack. It's the individual cards are based on, if there's a huge sale on an individual card, then packs could potentially go up. But if now their individual sales go down or packs go down, they go hand in hand with kind of like how they sell, right? So maybe our friend Jay, could sell it for higher than 300. Who knows, right? Because the demand is down now because the initial hype was crazy. But then I think we said that with Cactus Jack. We said, wow, sell for 1,500. I said 2,000 is that breaking point. It exceeded that, right? But then obviously we expect a correction at the same time, right? So I think we won't know until the next few weeks of what that price point would be. But it is a gamble holding it on to like a numbered card at this point. I think a good move is cashing out, but you might be able to make a bit more money by holding as well. You just never know how the market's moving. If the one-of-one is not pulled, the packs go up, then maybe, pricing could hold a bit depending on when the one-of-one is being pulled.
Right. I think that one-of-one is going to be pulled soon, though.
Yeah, me too.
that Wemby Superfractor got pulled fast as well.
But what's it to say? What's it to say that like Fanatics just holds on to that?
You know what? I'm kind of hoping for that because I'm still waiting for my U.S. Olympic Topps Now basketball card, and they give you a FedEx tracking number, and it's been stuck at the FedEx depot wherever they collect for the last week. And then, you know, I'm getting FOMO because people are already getting theirs and they're ripping their packs. So I'm like, maybe they held it back because they don't want
it's in their card
to be released. So I'm like, maybe it's coming to me. It's coming to Canada, boys. So we'll see. We'll see in about a week when I get my Topps Now card. So, but anyway, you're talking about the packs and like I said earlier, it sold for about $2,500. The first unopened pack for these short prints and 101.
Crazy.
Second question: if you had a pack like our friend Jay, would you have tried to sell it for $2,000 or would you have ripped?
Oh no! How much is a pack? $10?
$10 for
no,
a
like
card.
when you guys first
per card,
and you can by chance get one of those packs, right?
Exactly.
Within your $10 order.
Yeah,
that's a tough call. Because $10 for a shot at
the
that
101,
bounty,
yeah,
or instant payout of $2,000 or something.
I know what Hyung's doing.
I'm selling. Yeah.
Oh, you're selling?
I'm selling.
Oh, I thought you would have ripped.
I thought you were ripped.
I would rip probably under 1,000, but that's when it starts getting okay. Like,
right.
like I'll cash out.
Do we know how? I guess nobody knows how many SP cards there are, right? Like, if you get one of those packs, it could be still one of 10,000, right?
Yeah, and that's a good point because the SP, which isn't numbered, that's going for about 300 now, but there are numbered parallels in there too. So that's got to be going for at least 1,000.
All right.
You can hit those, you know?
Yeah, I'm selling.
It'd be pretty tempting.
I'm only in it for like, what, $20-$30? I'd probably rip.
Yeah. Man, that's an amazing payout though.
That's true.
Over $2,000 USD. I think I would sell. I feel like there's a lot more short prints than we think.
1,000 is my number. Under 1,000.
Under 1,000?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, let's move on to our discussion today. And I know we don't talk a lot about football cards, but I thought it would be the perfect time to do so because the season officially starts today, actually, as of this recording. And the recent release as well of the new 2023 Topps Composite football set, which is essentially, if you don't know what it is, it's like the Panini Chronicles, where, you know, you have a bunch of cards from different brands in each pack. So for Topps Composite Football, you can expect cards under the Topps Chrome brand, Topps Chrome Black, Finest, Heritage, and even Allen and Ginter. And they also have one new brand called Resurgence. All right. So my main question is, do you think this set will be popular for football card collectors? And I ask because just like Topps Chrome Basketball, which we talked about previously on this pod, Topps Composite Football is unlicensed, right? With Fanatics getting the NFL license in 2026. And it's not cheap either. It costs about $500 for a hobby box. But you do get 3 autos, and I think they're sticker autos, but you do get 3 autos, and you could hit rookie QBs like CJ Stroud and Anthony Richardson, which are the big chases. So what do you think of Topps Composite Football?
For me, at least, I think it's not the same as Topps Chrome Basketball right now. I think Topps Chrome Basketball was built on Wemby and the issue with Wemby autographs, and that they strategically use short prints of LeBron and other, cards that are good chases. So I don't think there's a comparison with the football and basketball. I personally think the basketball is going to be way more valuable, and it shows. I think the football is one of those things where it falls back into the unlicensed, like Topps, because at the end of the day, it had Wemby autos, and that's what people were looking for. And because of the issues with Wemby autos and Panini and the exclusiveness, I think that's what built the hype around Topps Chrome Basketball. With football, I think it's different. I think 2016 was the last year Topps was involved in football. So there is a little comeback for that, but I think nobody would notice, to be honest. And I think licensing is massive in football as well as basketball, but they don't have the Wemby story. Yes, you do have a little bit of hype with the Anthony Richardson and CJ Stroud. I think those will be always chases in that, but I don't think the price will justify it from a long-term perspective. There's too many other cards that are desirable for Anthony Richardson and CJ Stroud to not be hyped.
Right. Good point.
Yeah. I've been out of it for a little bit, so a bit of a noob question. Topps Chrome basketball, is it all sticker autos? Like even Wemby? And then number 2, there's a LeBron
I don't know
auto
if there's a
Topps
LeBron
Chrome
auto, but
Topps Chrome, right?
there might be. I could be wrong. There's no
he signed an
Luka,
exclusive deal, right? But I'm not sure if it's in this set.
I'm gonna check that.
But the big boys like Wemby, is it sticker?
That,
I mean, there's.
I guess nobody really knows.
They have been pulling Wemby autos out of the product. So let me see. It looks like sticker autos.
That's a good question.
No, Wemby does have on card autos. Sorry. Yeah, they're on card. Yeah, they're on card autos. So which is huge.
On card.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not bad. You know, this discussion about Topps Chrome first year, whether if it's just hype, you know, or if it's could become iconic, is so tough to say, because I think the initial look at it, I would assume, I haven't really looked at social media, but I would assume people are pretty underwhelmed with the look, especially because it's unlicensed. And also there's still alternatives, right? It's not like Topps Chrome is the only go-to product out there to get Wemby rookie cards or CJ Stroud. There is still Panini, right? Which has been the king for many years and has been the iconic look for the go-to main rookie card for basketball, football. So it's tough. I think Topps Chrome basketball is like Hyung said, it could, but completely on the strength of Wemby. Football, on the other hand, I think Topps recognizes it. I think Topps recognizes it can't hold to basketball. And people, I think, have, from an iconic standpoint, we've been waiting for Topps Chrome basketball, not so much for football. So they know. So they got to bring out a composite product such as this that has sort of a bunch of mini products that they can maybe flash some of their branding for future releases. But I mean, it would have been, I think this could have garnered more attention if they had the licensing for this year for the composite release. But because it's unlicensed, I mean, there's so many other CJ Stroud. Like, CJ Stroud's awesome, and it'd be a great chase, but there's so many other options that I'm not going to make much about the Topps Composite Chrome.
Yeah, no, that's a good point as well, and I tend to agree with you guys, and especially the NBA license, Fanatics gets next season, 2025, and NFL is the year after, so you still got to wait.
Oh, there's still
right?
another, okay.
So maybe for diehard football card collectors, this is something to tide them over, but then, you know, whenever I think about Panini Chronicles, I think lower end, right? And then with Topps Composite being a similar setup, except it costs way more. I'm not sure people are willing to pay that much unless it comes down later, right? And so yeah, it's a neat idea. And like I said about Topps Chrome basketball in a previous episode, I get why Fanatics is doing it, because they knew the demand would be there, especially for Wemby. Then I think the initial demand might be there for football card collectors, but I don't think it will be there even midterm, right? So yeah, you know, I'm sure they'll make money off of it still. With CJ Stroud and Anthony Richardson, those are good draws. But yeah, I agree with you guys. I'm not feeling Topps Composite, but out of all the major sports, we probably know football the least. So if any of our listeners can educate us and debate us on whether we're right or wrong, we'd love to hear from you guys. All right, before we end the show, for this Friday episode at least, let's go around and share, as we do each year, our Super Bowl picks. And how about one player you might invest in this year? Like someone you could see having a breakout season, or even a player who just, you know, didn't perform well last year and might have a better season this year. So who wants to go first? And I think they're non-existent. Track of our Super Bowl picks. I feel like
yeah.
that we
Our
haven't gotten any right.
yearly Super Bowl picks from the three experts.
I'm sure I said the KC Chiefs one season. Come on, that's like your go-to pick, right? But
yeah, I think KC, San Francisco. I think you have your kind of favorites, but like I think it's exciting with having like a chase, like you said, for the hobby at least. Like CJ Stroud, it has enormous amounts of hype, so it'd be interesting to see. And you want these upcoming quarterbacks to kind of be the guy, because you look back, we had our Joe Burrow hype, the Josh Allen hype, the Justin Herbert hype, and it's kind of like if they don't meet their expectation, are they a good buy now, right? So yeah. I think there are promising quarterbacks like Josh Allen and like even guys like Lamar Jackson. I think there's great buying opportunity. But in terms of predictions, I'll also say Jordan Love, I think is a potential great buy. Obviously Green Bay has a lot of work to do, but there's a lot of exciting quarterbacks. I think that from a sports card perspective, especially with the Anthony Richardson and CJ Stroud hype, it's kind of like the marriage you want. But yeah, I would look for experience to kind of be the front runner. So you obviously expect Mahomes to be there, and potentially, like the 49ers, for instance. I think they have a pretty solid team that's going to, go deep into the playoffs as well. So yeah, those are my picks. In terms of the, I guess, from a sports card standpoint, I would say, obviously CJ Stroud, you're going to have enormous amounts of hype. So if you're chasing CJ Stroud and you have a card, I think you have a lot of potential to sell. And guys like Burrow and Herbert, guys who kind of fell off over last year from the hype, I think there's a good buying period, as well as guys like Jordan Love. Okay.
And you picked a bunch of teams. So if you had to choose one, who would you pick for Super Bowl?
Man, that's hard. I would. You know what? I'm going San Francisco, man.
Ooh,
I have a buddy that's in with San Francisco as one of. He's in the athletic trainer department, so I'm gonna support him and go San Fran.
All right.
I enjoyed his behind the scenes look from his stories and stuff last year. Yeah. So it was fun watching San Francisco last year. So
nice. Okay, John.
I love watching, I wasn't the biggest Tom Brady fan, but I love watching GOATs develop and be on the trajectory of being a GOAT. So for me, I've been enjoying Patrick Mahomes, so it's boring, but I gotta pick Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going to cheer them on. But breakout players, in high school, I was hardcore into football, like watching it, never missing a game, literally sitting down on Sundays. As a 40-plus-year-old now, like I'm more casual because I just don't have the time with the kids.
Yeah.
So I'm speaking from a casual standpoint, and there may be many casual investors, right? Like they don't know that much about football, but they want to know what you would look for. So for me, with being casual, not knowing analytics and not knowing upcoming schedule and who might break out, who might not.
Right.
I like to look at, football's so volatile. So kind of the years 1 through 3 hype years. Could you take advantage? Yes. But if you're going to take advantage of the early years, I want to look at it from a standpoint of, like Hyung kind of mentioned, guys that were supposed to have done well that kind of haven't, usually because they're on a really crappy team. If you're like a top 5 pick, you're probably on a pretty horrible team, and where the hype kind of simmered down, but they still have the pedigree. So if you're going to pick and play that volatility game, I think it's somebody like Trevor Lawrence is primed.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Like he's got the pedigree. He was on a crappy team. He played pretty decent last year, and he's still on a bit of that hype train. So if you're going to play that game, I think Trevor Lawrence is the type of player to go for the one season volatility. And then the other one, which is a lot more safer, but there still could be volatility that I really like, is Aaron Rodgers, because you can take advantage of him being completely out and forgotten, especially sort of the "what have you done for me lately" scene. And I think he was a bit forgotten, and you don't know what could happen this year. He could come back into form. He could be right back into the mix of being like a top 10 quarterback. And if he doesn't, the investment is still pretty safe because he's going to go down as one of the greatest quarterbacks anyways. So I really like Aaron Rodgers. Like if you're going to invest into something this year. So those are my two breakouts. And then my one dud, I'm going to go against Hyung. And again, this is from a casual perspective, but I think Jordan Love could be a trap. He did have like a pretty amazing second half, from what I saw. But I don't, I like to look at the pedigree a lot more, and I'm a little bit more worried that Jordan Love could be one of these players. And I could be completely wrong, and Jordan Love fans out there are going to just totally trash me. But I feel like he could be a trap player where you think he's, going to break out. He's going to continue last year like he was, and then he just kind of fizzles out and turns into a Mac Jones or something really, really horrible. So.
Whoa. Let's not go to Mac Jones level.
I'm just saying. I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback. I just feel like Jordan Love could be one of those investments that could turn into a trap.
Yeah, no, I like that take. I like it. I don't agree, but I like the boldness because I didn't tell you guys before this podcast, but the odds, general odds for the teams that are going to make it to the Super Bowl, you got KC Chiefs, number 1, of course, San Francisco, number 2. But here's the thing. It's either no team or very, very, very few teams that have made it to a Super Bowl and lost have returned to the Super Bowl the next year. So that San Francisco is in that category. Ooh. So their odds are against them if you're just playing pure odds. So that leaves Baltimore as number 3, Philadelphia number 4, Detroit number 5. That's your top 5. Green Bay is actually number 7. The people are saying they have a really decent team. So that's why I might be a little bit higher on Jordan Love because Green Bay is expected to go deep into the playoffs. I'm going to choose Baltimore for that reason. Just just playing the odds. I feel like they were close. They knocked on the door, and I feel like every team kind of needs to do that, and regardless of sport. You come close, you taste it, and then you can if you're a good team, you'll take that next step. And I feel like Baltimore's right there. For players, I like to invest in. Whenever I play fantasy football, I kind of do what you said, John, like where there's a hype to that player, but they don't perform well, so the hype simmers down drastically. It could be for injury reasons, it could be for whatever reason, but they still have the talent or skill, and they're still playing as the QB1 for their respective team. That was my Lamar Jackson pick last year, which did really well for me in fantasy football. My guy this year, and this is kind of a reach, is Justin Herbert. I think he's just been decimated by injury, and he says he's healthy. Jim Harbaugh's the new manager, so new system in place. Everyone's talking positively about Herbert, and I think his prices have come down over the last 2 seasons. So Herbert's my pick. I love the Aaron Rodgers call because I think if everything breaks right, I feel like this is his last season. If he goes out on a winning note,
right,
or if he does really well, I think this is probably his last season, and I think that narrative will carry, and I think that'll impact the value of his cards as well. But that could crash and burn too. You could get injured in week 1 again or week 2, and then you're like, all right, he's done. So that there's a risk there.
We'll know by next week.
We'll know by next week.
Seriously.
Oh man. All right. Well, like I said before, we'd love to hear your takes, especially with the football season beginning. So you could DM us at Cards to the Moon on Instagram, and we always reply to your questions there. So thanks guys again for listening, and we'll have a brand new episode for you guys on Tuesday. Talk to you then. Bye. Hey, thanks for listening to Cards to the Moon. We'd really appreciate you subscribing to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can also connect with each of us on Instagram at 5cardguys, or you can follow Hyung at Integrity Sports Cards, or John at TradeU at Recess. You can also check us out at 5cardguys.com. Thanks again, and hope to connect soon.